What unforgivable act by a celebrity did the public seem to forget too easily? Soulja Boy beat a pregnant woman into having a miscarriage. CeeLo Green. The way he straight up admitted to raping people BC he thought it didn't count, if they were drugged? It was so disillusioning to see him still get features, invites, media attention after that. CeeLo Green going viral with a new song on TikTok after drugging a woman, raping her and then saying, "People who have really been raped remember." Quote. Richards. Robert H. IV. The heir to the estimated $14 billion fortune of the DuPont family. Richards was jailed in 2009 for abusing his 3-year-old daughter sexually. In an attempt to clear his record, the billionaire offered to take a polygraph test. Nevertheless, he failed the test and ultimately admitted to the accusations. He could have faced a 30-year jail sentence, but his attorneys managed to have the accusation reduced to 4th-degree rape, earning him an 8-year sentence instead. But the court decided that he wouldn't fare well in jail, so they suspended his sentence and released him on probation. Boy George abducted and tortured a man in 2007. Film reviewer, journalist, and executive in the film business, Philip Burke, assaulted Brendan Fraser sexually, but he was spared since he claimed it was all in joke and had no sexual intent. If any of us had raised that defense, we would have all been imprisoned underground. Remember when a 16-year-old girl overdosed in Don Henley's house? He pled guilty to minor misdemeanor charges and then wrote a song about how mean the media was to him. Because I feel like almost no one does. John Travolta denying his son medical treatment, then his son dying from SUDEP. https www.reuters.com/article/idukin05399200 https www.mercurynews.com/2019/01/24/ John Travolta and Kelly Preston praise Scientology on 10-year anniversary of NS death. Chuck Berry has been lauded as the king of rock and roll. He's also a voyeuristic sicko who installed hidden cameras within the women's restroom of his restaurant. In his even younger days, he also did time for transporting a 14-year-old girl across state lines for sex. After reading the comments, I feel like I've been living under a rock. Disgusting world we live in. Curtis "Kurt" Johnson, the billionaire, whose family ran SC Johnson, a home goods company, was taken into custody in March 2011 on charges of molestation. The billionaire, whose net worth was estimated to be $4.2 billion in 2019, avoided a 40-year prison sentence and was fined $6,000. Instead, he was sentenced to 3 months in prison. Johnson was spared not just a brief jail sentence but also a fine that little affected his wealth, and the requirement to register as a sex offender. 28-year-old Jimmy Page in a relationship with a 13-year-old. He got his comeuppance now, but R. Kelly in the early 2000s peeing on a 15-year-old girl and recording it. People seemingly forgot and forgave him so quickly. Boondocks did an entire episode about it. It's weird how Roman Polanski drugged and anally raped a 13-year-old girl, then fled the country to avoid prison. And Hollywood basically said, "That's fine." It wasn't until 43 years later that the Motion Picture Academy finally expelled him after deciding child rape was no longer okay. But for decades Hollywood actors, industry executives, and award committees ignored the fact that he was a fugitive rapist and even signed letters of support for him. Jack Nicholson beat a sex worker so bad in the 90s that she suffered permanent injuries. People seem to ignore how many musicians from the 60s, 70s, and 80s were blatantly taking advantage of children, especially the musicians that are popular enough to basically be memes. That stuff probably wouldn't fly today, considering how Drake's texts are seen by the public, but I'm always surprised it isn't brought up more. I've seen a new rise in awareness surrounding it in the last couple years. But for like 30 years no one talked about how Karl Malone knocked up a 13-year-old while he was in college. Edit. Originally thought it was when he was in the NBA. Chris Brown beating up Rihanna. The current First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, literally groomed her own husband when he was a 15-year-old boy and she was in her 40s. She was his schoolteacher and acted extremely unprofessionally when she started sleeping with her own underage student. The boy Emmanuel's parents told her to stay away from their son, as they did not appreciate a 40-year-old woman preying on their 15-year-old boy. She didn't care. She continued grooming poor Emmanuel and even pressured him into marrying her. Nobody is talking about this. Apparently it's considered okay by many people in France because they love each other, because look, he married her when he was an adult. Boys can get groomed too. No, this was never okay. Emmanuel Macron is a victim of grooming and possibly CSA. Vince McMahon being found out to have given something like $15 million in hush money to women he raped.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.